I'm Ivan Matias, a Guatemalan-American professor at Cornell. I'm also someone who loves riding bikes, enjoying journeying the landscape to learn more about our world, the people who live in it, and tell stories that I encounter along the way.
I'm Ivan Sigal. I'm the executive director of Global Voices and a photographer and artist, and I'm also a longtime cyclist. I've done long-distance multi-day rides, and I also am a huge advocate for cycling as a mode of urban transport.
As a Guatemalan-American, I've always been fascinated by this story that is legendary in American history of a group of farm workers and union organizers who've walked almost 300 miles to both secure union contracts with grape farms and also put Latinx communities on the political map in America. So coming to California for this year, I was really excited to learn more about that history and finding that the US federal government is thinking about a national park that follows the route. I knew I had to do it myself.
For me, it's also a matter of reconnecting cycling with histories as they are lived and enacted on landscapes. So I'm really interested not just in riding a sport or riding in a kind of a historic way, but of thinking about traces and paths that we make in the land and how those are connected to history. The route takes us into an industrialized agricultural context that is really almost hostile to the idea of the bicycle as a primary mode of transport. And I'm really interested in the ride almost being a counter narrative in the space.
One of the questions we've asked ourselves when imagining this ride is how to think about a moment that is passed into legend, but hasn't really necessarily achieved the things that people had hoped for long-term. Farm workers continue to face considerable challenges, many of them undocumented in this country. And commemoration is part of keeping those conversations and debates alive. So we realized when imagining our route that this could be more than just looking back. It could be an opportunity for us to meet with and learn about contemporary leaders who are working on labor, on climate, and foreground the work they're doing today. We'll be traveling through California's Central Valley. It's one of the world's most high-volume farm and agriculture producers. It's also a region that produces a huge amount of oil, especially in the South. And it's become an important area of culture and creativity for many different migrant communities over the years that has also been defined by massive infrastructure of dams, bridges, and a great number of large projects aimed at controlling water and the environment.
It's a fascinating kind of landscape that is really different from the way a traditional kind of bike trip might be organized, where you talk about mountains and you're riding through pristine natural spaces. It's the opposite of that.
One of the organizations we're raising funds for is the Central California Environmental Justice Network. This is a group that organizes largely communities of color across the Central Valley, especially around environmental health and justice.
We're also supporting Rising Voices, the information access and internet access section of Global Voices. Rising Voices over the past few years has focused most of its activities on internet access and its intersection with language rights, especially for Indigenous and marginalized language communities. We really want to highlight the role that comprehension and availability of information and the ability to participate in civic life with diversity of languages and how important that is. Within Global Voices, there are many people who are not in the majority language space, and I'm very excited to be able to help bring more resources to that.